today.
What's talking about today?
You grab a national state level, you have to run non-sales, wholesale.
Is 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put her in the registration booth with the car.
Just this ever-evolving story.
Well, tonight, guys, it's me, Bert, and Mr. Randy, and we got Marvin McDonald that's going to join us tonight. It's all about promotions this month. I tell you one thing about this sport, it's evolved ever so much from back in the 70s and 80s. And, we used to have banners and put out a few flyers and a few other things. And we hope the word got out kind of. We use radio and all kinds of other stuff. But, Randy, what kind of stuff have you seen people use as far as promotions?
Well, here in Ohio, we got a lot of people putting out road signs, like the election things that you put in the front yard. They've been doing that a lot lately for their whole fairs and for the tractor pulling events. And then at the events, they've been doing a lot of things like frisbees and throwing out T-shirts and those T-shirt cannons are a real big hit up here in Ohio. So, but that's been a big thing that they've been trying to get them after they get the people there. But the billboards and the radios, but they're kind of going away. But the social media thing is what really been going around here. Everyone's been working on that pretty hard, for sure. So that's a lot of things we've been doing around here. But the road signs really seem to work, like those little 2x4s or whatever they are. Stick them in everyone's signs. Give them all to 4-H kids. Let them put them out, and it works pretty well. Get pretty good response from that. That's for sure. So, but then the social media post is really where that stuff really helps. I know some of the people have been, giving away tickets to get into the whole fair, and then they get into the tractor pulls and that kind of stuff. That stuff is working as well. So, what about you guys?
Well, that's kind of the same thing here. We still use flyers quite a bit. I know most of the promoters down here try to use flyers to an extent. And when I talk about flyers, let me grab one here. This is just.
We got some of them as well, don't we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, just a simple 11 by 17 is kind of hard to see with the reflection. But 11 by 17, hang them up in gas stations, that kind of thing. And believe it or not, a lot of auto parts stores around home they'll allow you to put them up for about a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. And a lot of restaurants, believe it or not, local restaurants let you hang those kinds of things up. And we still use banners down here, 3x5s and 4x8s. But speaking of that, let's bring in Marvin McDonald. That guy has he promotes a pull down in Lumberton, North Carolina, and that show has definitely grown over the last couple of years. I'm going to kind of bring him up here. Marvin, you there? Hey, there's Marvin.
I'm here, Bert. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you loud and clear. Marvin, you've been putting on Lumberton helping put on that show for the last few years. What's some of the things y'all been doing there to try to bring those crowds in?
Bert, we kind of try to go full circle with advertising. I mean, I don't think there's any one portion of advertising that, you can say, well, we're going to do this and get them in. We still use the either 3x5 or 4x8 roadside banners, the 11 by 17 posters. We have kind of backed off on the amount of money we're spending on radio. We just felt like that we needed some radio, but not, break the bank in radio, and it's not hard to do that. And then internet advertising, really going full circle like that is what we found that works.
So what's probably been the big thing, say, the last couple of years that you've focused on more than anything else?
Well, I think one of the big turning points was when we started our internet advertising. I really think that that's when our crowd turned. I think the generation that we're hitting now is more into the electronics than in years past, and I really think that the work that we're doing with White Line Promotions is making a big difference.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know, we talk about different strategies and how long you push things, and is this kind of an all year round kind of deal, or is it more, or you know, the 6 or 8 weeks before that show? What's y'all's game plan once that show ends in Lumberton in, you know, September? What is your game plan? When do you start getting ready for the following year?
Actually, the fire department, that is the promoter, Prospect Fire Department, and I we'll have our first meeting in January. And, you know, our pool's always the weekend after Labor Day in September. So once the show's over, we'll start in January and lay our plan out. And we really start pushing it. Of course, it's on the internet a little bit, and it's in schedules. It's a regional national show. So it's got a little bit of recognition through NTPA being on the schedule. But we really, about 10 weeks out from September, you know, start a small amount of advertising. And then with that, about 4 weeks to go, we turn it up. We try to have our road banners out 4 weeks ahead of time. You know, we find if you put them out too early, you know, they're just people get too used to them. And, you know, wind and damage, and, you know, if you have a thunderstorm or something here on the East Coast. So about 4 weeks on that. Same thing, our storefront posters, we put them out about 3 weeks. And then, like I say, the internet stuff, and then, you know, with one to go, you always do a real good job with that, what is it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. And that's kind of our ball game.
Well, you know, and over year after year, your crowd seems to have grown or steadily increased every year. You know, and the big thing is I think that pool, you know, how long has that pool actually been going on? Because it was somewhere in the late 70s, wasn't it?
Bert, that was. If you remember what year, if I make no mistake, that is where they first tried the four-wheel drive truck class. And, you know, I remember hearing your Uncle Wayne tell the story in the early 70s about, you know, four-wheel drive trucks before they were recognized as a class, and some guys wanted to pull, and they allowed them to come to Lumberton on a test basis. And I think the first time they were officially a class was in Pine Tops. Was it the next year?
It was the following year. I think it was 78, maybe something like that. So it's been since the late 70s. That was the original. In fact, that was the earliest professional NTPA show I believe there was in Eastern North Carolina.
I think you're exactly right. I'm not exactly sure without doing some research what year that was, but that was long before I was involved in truck and tractor.
It was before I was born, I can tell you that much.
Right.
So, Randy, you know, this is you've been introduced to Marvin here. What's something, you know, you've heard him talk about the banners and the social media and the other things. Is there anything you've seen up there that you might be able to suggest maybe down here might give him a little bit of an edge, or maybe another avenue?
He's been doing a lot of the same things that we've been doing up here for sure. Like almost to the T, everything he's been doing. Everything seems to be working well for us on that same line, but we've been doing a lot of extra things after you get the people to the event to try to get them to keep coming back. You know, like you say, the full pull thing with the live streaming. I think that really helps it to get people to flash on the TV. I think that's a big deal. Get people to come back to your event. And then, like I said, we've been doing in between classes, we take one little individual time and we throw Frisbees and T-shirts out and all that kind of stuff. And that really gets the crowd involved and makes them want to come back around. And we've seen a lot of repeat customers, as you will say, from doing that kind of thing. So That's what we've been doing to try to keep them involved and then get them in. Once you get them in the gate, then you got to keep them coming back. And that's one of the ways we've been doing it. So, for sure.
So switching gears a little bit, let's look at say sponsors. How do you retain your sponsors from year to year? What's been your biggest drawback or your biggest thing to go to your sponsors, and what brings them back every year sponsoring the Lumberton 300 Truck and Trailer Pull?
The Bert, we out of community and surrounding community. The
I think we're losing them.
department is the promoter. I think you got it.
Yeah, you're coming in and out a little bit.
I got you. I don't know. I thought I had pretty good service, but maybe not. It's like the
A bird probably flew by, Marvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you there?
But
There you go.
yeah, you got me now, Bert.
Good to go.
Okay. The fact the fire department being the promoter, a nonprofit organization, our community just surrounds that fire department, and pretty much everybody that we contact, they fall in line and support that fire department because of what they do for the community, and I think that's one of the things that keeps them coming back.
So if it, just out of curiosity, when you go up to somebody and say you're looking at a new potential sponsor, how do you go up and go ask that person or that group or that business, how do you confront them and say, hey, I'd love to have you sponsor that event? What is there a way you kind of pull them into you, or is it just kind of luck of the draw?
Well, Bert, a lot of our sponsors are also connected some way with the fire department. Here in Eastern North Carolina, you've seen community. It's a rural agriculture community, and the majority of our sponsors are connected by some way to one of those fire department members. Seed and fertilizer dealers, fuel dealers, insurance people, and there's most of the time it's a contact that's made, and we have a package put together that pretty much describes them what the event's going to be. We have different levels of sponsorship, and of course we try to shop the higher levels of sponsorship first, but it depends on the business you're going to. If you're going to a business that is a multi-million-dollar business, then a $2,500 sponsorship's attainable. If it's a smaller business, not to go in the door, with maybe a $500 sponsorship. But we present them with the package that we have put together, and usually it's met with open arms.
Well, that's the good thing about it, especially being with the fire department. It's kind of easy to say, hey, I'll put $500 or I'll put $1,000 if it's going to benefit that local fire department. And, that's been kind of a little bit of a challenge over here in Eastern North Carolina. And we've had some fire departments that really struggled to get sponsorships and just trying to get the manpower to get that event put on. And that's one thing I got to say down in Lumberton. You guys have taken that pull in the last 4 or 5 years and really grown it. It's good to see some good regional national action happening right here in North Carolina. So let me ask you this, Mark.
Yes, it has definitely. Okay, go ahead, Bert.
So let me ask you the next biggest thing. What is the next step for you guys? What do you think is your next step as far as Lumberton 300 Truck and Trailer Pull? What's your next goal?
Right. Well, I would love. We've been having 4 regional national classes there. That's what we started with, and my next goal, if we can keep growing our attendance, is I would love to maybe in 2027 have it a goal to have 6 regional national classes not 4.
Well, that definitely gets, the classes, we got some of the toughest competitors down here in the South. They like to go run all over the country, and it's good to see regional national action. And you guys have kind of led off with it. Lumberton was the first one. State Fair has always kind of had a couple of regional nationals, but Lumberton no doubt has brought that regional national action back. And I think we've got a couple more down here in North Carolina that are going to try regional national classes again this year to kind of grow that up a little bit.
That is correct.
So let me add, this is one thing people don't like to talk about, but what's been your biggest struggle or your biggest challenge so far in promoting a pool?
Well, probably the biggest challenge, like we were just talking about, the pool, it's been going on for a long, long time, but it's had, many different promoters back. I'm not sure. I think it might have been the Smyrna Fire Department. Our fire department was putting it on way back in the 70s. And I think the Fair Board may have had some input in it along the way. And I know through the 90s is when Wayne and his group were really in the pool, and then the Shriners took it over. And then it was about right about COVID, 2020. The Shriners were kind of just, I guess, getting tired and getting new interest in it to have a promoter out to the pool, and getting the Prospect Fire Department involved, getting them over the edge to say, "Yep, I'll do it first time. I'm their hook now." I know these guys very well at Prospect Fire Department, and they're hooked. They're in. Getting them over the hump to get in was a push and a struggle.
So if you're a new promoter in this sport, what is your goal? What would be your goal to have that first year? What would be your goal if you were a first-time promoter, you're putting on a pool? What do you want to happen when you get through on Saturday night? How do you want things to turn out?
Well, as I'm kind of as long as promoting, I'm heavily involved in United Pullers and the promoting of shows across all of Region 4. The biggest thing I try to get to understand is we need to come up with a way to you have a positive show the first year. The last thing that I want them to do is come up on Saturday night and be extremely disappointed in their show. So choosing their classes, not starting off too big. We had 8 classes in Lumberton last year, so one more than we've been having.
I think we lost them.
I think so, Bert.
Yeah. Well, the gist of, I think, what he was coming back on that was just having a good positive show, having everything, getting through the night. And maybe, I hear this from talking to promoters. You talk to a lot of promoters, and the biggest thing they want to do is break even that first year. They want everything to go through. It's kind of a learning experience. What do I need to do? I think maybe we got Marvin back. He's still not. He's kind of back. But, and that's the biggest thing. If you're looking to get into the sport, the best thing to do is actually go talk to other promoters and go to a pool or two and find out who that promoter is and talk to them a little bit. Find out what works for them. And what we found is, in a lot of cases, what works in one location may not work in others, because like here in this state, North Carolina, radio is very prominent in the Winston-Salem area or the Triad area. And you can use radio and it's beneficial, where Eastern North Carolina, maybe not so much, so let's see if we can get Marvin back in here. Hey, Marvin, you there? Hey, Marvin's walking somewhere with some signal.
Yeah, I'm trying to change locations and get us a little bit more signal.
Gotcha.
we're gonna get you some satellite internet over there at your house.
I might need that. I've got what I'm hooked to is Spectrum, and I tell you, if the wind blows wrong, that's not too great.
So back with you. I guess we go back into this. I kind of elaborated on some things that I've talked to promoters about. But if you're a first time promoter, what is it that you want to come out with on the first night? What is your goal when you get through with that event?
Well, the goal is I want the promoter to be profitable. As much work as you have to put in, I want the promoter to be profitable. Of course, your first year going in is a learning curve. It's going to take a few years, especially if you're starting with a new venue, not taking over from a previous promoter like the Prospect Fire Department did. They didn't have to start from scratch. But coming in, if you're a brand new venue, brand new location, start off slow, pick 5 good classes to hold the cost of your show down, and cover all the bases on advertising. And I want them to be profitable where they're not disappointed.
Like we were just talking about, Randy, you deal with a lot of different events up that way, more on the Grand National level and Region 2 and a lot of those regions up there. Is talking to those promoters and talking to those venues, what do they say what their goal is from year to year? Are they looking to grow bigger and better, or are they just kind of happy where they're at?
Well, we got here in being on the Ohio Executive Board, we had 42 scheduled events last year, and we had 6 rainouts. So we
Wow.
so we had quite a few successful events, and I'd say it's probably a third of them are just happy to maintain. 2/3 of them want to just come on and then get bigger and bigger. And the question I always ask them is, a lot of them have different outlooks on it, is do they want to have 50 vehicles there with, just a bunch of them, or do they want to have, 8 or 10 really good quality hot rods there, and that's just sometimes that's what they want, and sometimes, or they just keep getting more classes to get a lot of vehicles, or they just want to choke it down and have 4 or 5 and have smaller classes but good vehicles. So everybody has a little different outlook up here, that's for sure. So I don't know what the end goal on some of them are. Some of them want to have multiple. We have some people jumping up to go to 2-track shows now that never did. So a lot of them, the ones that want to go, they really want to, they're all in, they really want to go, but some of them are just pretty happy with just maintaining. We have 2 smaller ones that Susie and I both help with. They're just like Marvin's. They are fire department based. They're the promoters, and it's those guys are just happy just to keep doing what they're doing. They're trying to get bigger, but they have small venues, and so there's only so much that they can do with those small venues. So I'd say that's a good base of ours. Is some of them want to get bigger and bigger, and some of them want to just maintain, and just kind of just hang out and do what they're doing.
So Randy, this goes to you too. On average, say on your smaller venues, how many people do they normally have, or do you have an idea about how many people they have at those venues, roughly on the smaller ones?
Like on the
single track smaller venues.
So
what do they average?
The pullers, pulling people, or
spectators.
Spectators. Oh,
yep.
Some of them. I would guess our smallest show, I would say, is 1,200 to 1,300 people. Clear up to even our big shows. We have 5,000 to 6,000 at a few of our big shows. So but I'd say we always have 1,000 people for sure at all of our little shows. Probably that 1,200 to 1,300 is probably a better, more solid number. So.
And we look at how do we attract people to come to your shows, and social media has definitely helped out a ton. TikTok, Facebook, X, all that has definitely helped out a ton. Seeing what goes on with it, in this sport, because I think that's a lot of the whole thing about tractor pulling. I know down here in the South, and Marvin, you may agree with me on this or may not, but I think a lot of people don't understand what tractor pulling really is. I mean, Marvin, what would you say to that in our area?
I agree 100%, Bert. Tractor pulling is second nature to me, and I forget that a lot of times that people don't know what tractor pulling is. I actually talked to a guy yesterday. I had a guy come by my shop to make a delivery, and we had some stuff out. We're working on some stuff on one of the tractors, and he asked all kind of questions. What is this? What are you doing? Well, where do you run? Well, closest to here is Lumberton, North Carolina, and he's a Robeson County native, to Robeson County, and he said, I've never heard of tractor pulling. I didn't know they had anything like that around here, and I'm like, wow, we've got to do a better job. I don't know, and that's one thing I've been thinking about. What are we missing? With road signs, with storefront posters, with a little bit of radio, with internet, the reels. But there you go. You talk to a guy that he said, well, I sure will be there this year. I've never been, but I will be there. And thinking, how many more people's like that? That's what we need to do to make tractor pull grow, is figure out how to reach those people.
Randy, you're in a totally different situation than what we are down here. What do you have that same, I'm not going to say mentality, but that same perspective as far as some of the people that you meet? Have they never heard of tractor pulling or don't know anything about it?
Well, they're, amazingly enough, like you said, it's just second nature to us because that's all we've ever done. And, growing up on the farm, that's all we know. That's the whole summer vacation is just going pulling, that's what it's all about. But, and believe it or not, it still happens. We get to some of our, it's like Lumberton is a lot like right here at home for Susie and I. Rural, a lot of farming, a lot of, that industry, small communities, but we get closer to the city, not too far from here, Jeremy Smith's home crowd, Medina, Ohio. That's a little bit more of the city people. And there's a lot of people up there that, some of them don't even know about the fair, let alone going to the tractor pull. So I know those guys really, Chris was on last week with us, and they do a lot of things to try to entice the city people to come on out and see us. But, it is tough. That's for sure. When we get closer to the rural communities to try to get them to the city people, I guess I should say, not rural communities, but try to get them to come and see us. But it's not as much, not a lot of it, but there is some of it. That's for sure.
Well, United Pullers ends their season at the North Carolina State Fair, which was live streamed on Full Pull.
Sure.
And that crowd has always been big. I mean, it's just, and a lot of that is the fair goers going in. But if you watch social media that week before, they're like, they're messaging us, what classes are running this day and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of people that are looking for certain events. And, for example, Lumberton now with, y'all ran, 3 regional last year? 3 regional classes or 4?
We had 4.
4. So, and you keep increasing those regional national classes, you start pulling in some different vehicles, trying to get that interleague championship. So
just something
I already did.
Oh, okay.
But that seems to be, the bigger these shows get, and we kind of run our state circuit, so a lot of the people may see the same vehicles from week to week. But you go to Lumberton, you go to NC State Fair, and then I think Roanoke Rapids is doing a regional national this year. That will draw in a lot of out-of-state pullers for us, people that they don't see every weekend. And, that may help out these shows a little bit too.
For sure. I know there's quite a few guys up here by us. Jeff, Hurt comes down there. He's been to Lumberton a few years. And then we've been to the state. We had quite a few of them go to the state fair the last 2 or 3 years as well, and that's just because we know about it. We try to drag as many people with us and internet everything we can about the state fair and Lumberton as well, because we know Cody real well. Cody's a good guy, and we try to help him out, support him as well, So
Well, trying to pull in No Doubt is a life. It is, and being involved in it, it's great to see the promoters coming back in. There's all kinds of pulling happening. I think right now with full pull this summer, you're going to be able to watch pulls from East Coast to West Coast. It doesn't matter. Fullpull.us. That's where you need to go if you want to see pulling action all summer long. Ohio, California, North Carolina, Georgia. I mean, they're going to be everywhere. So if you can't be there, and that's the thing about it. I had somebody ask me the other day, actually talking to a promoter about live streaming, and he's like, "Well, that may hurt my crowd?" And I said, "Well, here's the thing: if they see it on Facebook or whatever else, that gives them an idea of what's happening. Not only that, when they show up, I like watching stuff on live stream. That's great." But I'd rather be in person to smell the diesel fuel, smell the alcohol, just feel the experience, So maybe that's something we need to look at.
For sure. What's your take on that, Arvin, about that the live stream? Are you for it? You against it? What's your thought on it as a promoter?
As a promoter, I have not seen where a live stream hurt our attendance at all. This past year was the second year that we've live streamed Lumberton, and we had the biggest crowd that we've ever had since the pool's been going on. So obviously, you can't go and say, well, live stream's hurting me when you got the second year of live stream and you got the biggest crowd that we've ever had, the largest number of spectators through the gate. I feel like that the benefit of having your pool or being promoted by Full Pool, because Full Pool's also promoting your pool because they're promoting their live stream and wanting to have participants. So, folks, and I'm going to agree with Bert. I think a person that's close enough to effectively come and see the pool would much rather be in person than on live stream. I know I'm going to agree with Bert. If I can make the pool, I have watched and do watch a lot of pools on live stream, but it's when I can't be there. If it's in Ohio, if it's the farm show and I didn't get to go, if it's Bowling Green and we didn't make it, yeah, live stream's better than missing it. But if I can be there, I want to be there.
For sure. And like I say, it's amazing. And I guess don't want to take this the wrong way. I'm definitely not world renowned on the television, but we've been on there quite a bit, with being with the Full Pull crew and being at Louisville at the farm show and all that kind of stuff. We've been on there a few times, and it's just, like I say, it's just part of life going pulling, and you might get on TV once in a while, and you be at your local parts store and, hey, seen you on TV the other night. Oh yeah, where were we pulling at that night, and it makes you feel good that people see that. But then as we get people to come to our events when they have live streaming, and a lot of the promoters that we have they're small town, small people, small events. They're excited about having it, and then some of the people in the crowd, when Jason or when Doug swings that camera and catches a few of those people, and they're on TV, it makes a big deal to them, makes them want to come back. That's for sure. So yeah. I think it's a real good thing. Helps bring I think it actually helps bring more of the close people to the venue. You got to advertise it up a little bit, but it really works. I think it helps the venue more than it hurts it. But you just got to try to some of the old school generation promoters, it doesn't help. You gotta really work on them a little bit and convince them. And once you get them convinced, then they're like, wow, that was really worth it. So for sure.
You just got to be careful with the kiss cams. That might get you in trouble a little bit.
Well,
so,
yeah.
But
yeah, for sure. It might do a little tattletaling on you, that's for sure. But it is what it'll be, right?
That's right. We actually got somebody tuning in from Germany. Good morning from Germany.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
For sure.
And then this guy Marvin. Let's see if he pops up. There he goes. Mark Kent, he's joining in tonight, watching the podcast. Appreciate everybody joining in. So
yep.
Let's see, where's it at? There it goes.
For
But yeah,
sure.
Marvin, we're kind of wrapping this up here tonight, and next week we'll have more promoters for you. We got some more coming in next week, so that's going to be pretty cool to see where everybody's a little bit, different on what they're doing for advertising. But everybody, by what I'm gathering, is kind of trying everything about the same. And if anything ever stands out, message us on here, let us know, or maybe you got an idea we hadn't thought about. But Marvin, kind of in closing, where can we learn more about your event and about everything going on in Lumberton, North Carolina?
Right. The Lumberton 300 Truck and Tractor Pull is on Facebook. And that's probably the place that you can get the most information is, I think they also have a web page. Is that right? I think you help out with that a little bit with the fire department.
No, actually, we just run it. We're running everything through UPOC Pulling, and I'm actually waiting on Mark to send me we're getting some confirmation on some dates, and then we're going to be posting the updated schedule here very shortly. So that will be up there, and all that stuff will be coming out very soon on upocpulling.com.
Okay.
And do you have a final message or words of advice or anything that you'd like to tell any promoters, fans, or anybody just looking to maybe get into the sport a little bit?
Well, in my opinion, I've been involved in it for many years, and truck and tractor pulling, NTPA truck and tractor pulling, United Pullers of the Carolinas, it's the greatest sport on earth to me. You were at our banquet, Bert. You go to many banquets, and I'm sure Randy, it's that way in Ohio. I've been to, the farm show several times, been to Bowling Green several times, traveled pulling in COVID. We were in Alabama and to Pennsylvania because of not having any pools. And I've never been anywhere that you're not welcome with open arms, wherever you're at, whatever state, whatever part of the country. It's just like you're one big family. It's like a brotherhood. It doesn't matter if you're at the farm show and have a breakage, somebody there is going to, try to help you out. If you're in Ohio, if you're in Michigan, we've been to Michigan several times. Got many friends all over the country through tractor pulling. And I know from the competitor side of it, but I feel certain from the fan side of it. There's not a better sport on earth for fellowship in the world.
No doubt about it. Sounds good to me. Randy, you got any last words tonight?
Oh, gosh, you could. The last words could be the first words to the next 2 hours. So it's hard to know when to start and when to stop. But
Yeah.
he's right on a lot of scales. We've got to meet a lot of people by going tractor pulling, and then as being the promoter, we Susie and I were the promoter at our county fair for 28 years, and we've escalated that thing to, just a few to, it's the 2 days before Bowling Green. So we used to get a lot of the Bowling Green guys to come there to do a little test and tune until things, got to where it's escalated to the horsepower and everything that they make now. But it's a real good deal. Great, like I said, it's a good family thing. Everybody's a family about this whole organization. We like it. We've been all over the country, and it'd be tough. I don't know that, to start off of a brand new venue, that would be a good challenge, because with the economy the way it is, you'd have to be a real go-getter to start up a standalone event. We have a little struggle. We struggle in Ohio with our standalone events. Just because you don't have the fair to bring them in. That's where we struggle the hardest. But we have one. It's on July 3rd, Mountain Gilead, Ohio. They've had their standalone event, and it's getting better. That thing really, they do fireworks. They do a lot of things for the community down there, and it's getting better and better every year. They've been doing it for a long time, but it would be tough to get started in Ohio here. A very, a standalone event would be tough, I would think, but always up for a good challenge. I'd be up for maybe Bert and I should put one on. We can give her a shot up here, What do you think about that, Bert?
Hey, let's go with it. I don't mind. I'm ready for a good challenge. And that's one thing I've noticed too over the last few years. Now, and it's different up there for you, Randy, because y'all are kind of tied in with a lot of the fairs. you have a few standalone. But here in North Carolina, it's literally we have NC State Fair, and Wilson has one on a Wednesday night during their county fair, and that's it. Yep, school night pulling.
School night pulling.
And everywhere else in North Carolina is a standalone. So basically, there's no other event coinciding with it. There's nothing else going on. And for the most part, you'll have a bad year or two. That's just Mother Nature will throw you a curveball or anything else. But for the most part, pulling is definitely growing here in the state. Wouldn't you say so, Marvin?
I do. I really feel like that pulling was kind of on probably in 18, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
There was kind of a little downslide right there in pulling and attendances. But after COVID, it came back, and it just seems like it's been on an upswing ever since from what I've seen.
Well,
That's true. We do a lot of school night pulling up here in Ohio. I mean, that's what we all laugh about, because that's what I call it for sure. School night pulling. I think we pull every night of the week up here.
Yeah. Me and my cousin Jamie Lewis. In fact, you may remember him. He was one of the ones that had a Turbine Mini back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
TPD3L 13B. And he would decide he wanted to take a whirlwind trip, and we'd just go up there and we'd ride up there, and we'd do Bowling Green. We'd always finish with Bowling. But I think they went at Waseong, and I went to a couple other events with them up in Ohio. But y'all literally pull every day to the week. You can start at the end of July and pull all the way through August.
For sure. You can just about nick her into September if you want. You don't have to work real hard at it. That's for sure. Yeah, school night pulling's always fun. We laugh about it, and we actually last year we put in for the points champ. If you're running for points, they actually added some more points for school night pulling. Give you an extra 5 points if you go school night pulling. So it worked. Get more people to go pulling so that venues have more vehicles there. So yeah. There are advantages of school night pulling, but boy, there's also some disadvantages of getting home at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning to go to work.
Well,
for sure.
All right. Well, my last words for tonight. Join us next week. Monday night, we're going to be right back here at 8:30 Eastern time. Randy, who do you have for us next week?
Next week, I believe I got Chase Smith. He was supposed to be on there tonight, but a couple things came up at home, and he owns his own business, and got 3 kids, and he owns his own business, truck and trailer repair, and something came up. So, that happens. It's life. But I think Chase is going to be on. He's our Greenwich, Ohio promoter. It's another one of the fire departments that goes on. And I have a call in to Kyle Matcham from Dragway 42. He puts on 2 night events for us here in Ohio. So
wow.
I have a call into Kyle. So hopefully we can get him on as well and chat it up with those two different promoters there. One real big one, 2 tracks, two nights, and one 1,250 people in town. So from one extreme to the next.
That's it. And next week, I believe, Marty Harrell will be on next week also from Wilson County Fairgrounds. So we'll be talking to him about. They do things pretty much the same as Lumberton, but they have a little. They do a few other different things too. So we'll be talking with him next week. Marvin, I greatly appreciate you joining us tonight. Randy, always a pleasure to be hanging out with you. And we will see you guys next Monday night, 8:30.
Thank you, Bert. Appreciate the recognition.
Yep. Thanks, Marvin. Thanks, Bert. You guys have a great week.
All right. So long, guys.
Yep.
Today. Let's talk about today.
If you're at a national state level, you have to run non-sales, wholesale.
Is like 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put her in a registration movement.
Just this ever-evolving story. And